Welcome to today's deep dive. Imagine you're holding a pair of dice.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You toss them high into the air, and you're just waiting to see if they land on some combination that's gonna, completely change your life.
Right, the big gamble.
Yeah, exactly. But now imagine those dice they stay suspended in the air.
Oh, wow. Just hanging there?
Just hanging there for a day, then a month, then like 14 years.
That sounds agonizing, actually.
Right. You can't stop watching them. They never seem to actually hit the table. And the anxiety of that suspension, that sheer psychological torture of just not knowing the outcome.
It's unbearable.
It is. It's something the human brain is uniquely unequipped to handle. So today's deep dive is really about what happens when our internal logic entirely breaks down in the face of the unknown.
It's a fascinating topic.
We're exploring this translated essay from 2020 by a writer named Schweffing, and it's titled Pass Through the Fuzzy Swamp.
A great title, by the way.
Oh, it really is. And for anyone listening who has ever felt just paralyzed by indecision, where every choice feels simultaneously right and, completely wrong, this text offers a really radical framework for surviving that suspension.
Yeah, and I think what's so striking here is that the author builds this incredible architecture for the problem. It's not just self-help platitudes,
Right. Definitely not.
He attempts to diagnose a fundamental error in human cognition, and he weaves together these wild physics metaphors, a kind of crippling minutia of daily modern life, and a very intense framework of spiritual discipline.
Which is quite the combination.
It really is. The central mission of the essay is to answer a surprisingly difficult question, which is, what is the actual mechanical process we should follow when we simply do not know what to do?
And the text opens with this philosophical experiment that essentially acts as a trap for the reader.
Oh, yeah, a total trap.
Schweffing presents this proposition that he asked a group of people to verify. And the proposition goes like this. If something is not helpful, then it is harmful. But if it is harmless, then it is beneficial.
Right.
And on its face, my immediate reaction is that this sounds like basic, unassailable common sense. It reads like a mathematical proof.
Well, it relies heavily on a concept the text identifies as Taiji thinking.
Taiji thinking.
Yeah, basically, the human brain is this relentless categorization machine. From an evolutionary standpoint, we survived by making these split-second binary distinctions.
Like safe or dangerous.
Exactly. Friend or foe, edible or poisonous. Taiji thinking represents this deeply ingrained desire for a yin and a yang. Like if a force is not light, it must definitively be dark.
Because it's easier to process.
Precisely. The brain craves the efficiency of opposites because it requires very little cognitive load to figure it out.
But the text reveals that when Schweffing presented this really clean binary proposition to people, there was just absolute chaos.
Total disagreement.
Yeah, zero consensus, everyone disagreed with the premise, and they disagreed with each other. The neat mathematical proof completely shattered when they tried to apply it to reality.
And it failed because human reality rarely exists in a pure binary state. The author argues that our reliance on this Taiji thinking just crashes when we enter what he terms the fuzzy zone, or the fuzzy swamp.
The fuzzy swamp.
Yeah. It's this state of environmental or psychological chaos, where opposing forces blur together so thoroughly that judgment just becomes impossible.
Wow.
In the swamp, you cannot determine if a situation is right or wrong, up or down, beautiful or ugly, or, even dead or alive.
I'm struggling with the mechanics of this a bit, because if I find myself in a situation where the right choice isn't obvious, my natural instinct is to just force a binary choice.
Just make a call?
Right. Pick a direction, define the parameters, and create an opposing force so I can at least orient myself. Why does Schweffing argue that our standard operating logic is so useless here?
Because you literally cannot force a boundary onto something that is inherently transitional. The author uses this brilliant natural metaphor to explain why Taiji thinking collapses.
Okay, lay it on me.
Think of that specific buffer zone between dusk and nightfall.
Oh, twilight.
Yeah, twilight. If you stand outside as the sun sets, there is this prolonged period of really murky transition. Can you point to a specific coordinate in the sky and definitively declare, that is the exact second day has become night?
No, of course not.
You cannot. The categories of day and night have ceased to be useful metrics.
Yeah.
The environment is simply fuzzy.
Ah, I see. So the brain's categorization software basically encounters a glitch. We are trying to apply a daytime, nighttime filter
To a phenomenon that is explicitly neither.
Wow, yeah.
That's precisely the argument. And the text leans into several physics metaphors where this kind of binary collapse occurs. It references Schrodinger's cat.
Oh, the classic thought experiment.
Right, where the cat inside the sealed box exists in a state of being simultaneously dead and alive until it's observed.
Right.
Or a Mobius strip, where you trace your finger along a loop, only to realize the front side and the back side are the exact same continuous surface.
It's mind-bending.
In those specific states, human judgment isn't just difficult, it is structurally impossible.
But, living inside a Schrodinger's cat box isn't just a problem for quantum physicists. The text makes this really sharp pivot and scales this psychological paralysis down to the most mundane choices we make every single day.
Oh yeah, it really brings it home.
The swamp isn't just reserved for massive existential crises like choosing between following Buddhism or Christianity.
Or agonizing over whether to abandon a really secure career to start a risky new business.
Right, those are the heavy, obvious swamps, the ones we culturally recognize as major life crossroads. But Shufeng points out we drown in shallow water, too.
We really do.
The text states that the fuzzy swamp is whether you should rent an apartment or buy a house. It's the dilemma of whether to wear a formal suit to an event or dress casually.
It even calls out dinner choices.
Yes. It explicitly calls out the agonizing paralysis of trying to decide whether to eat noodles or pancakes for dinner.
Which is so relatable. Because when the brain's logic centers fail to categorize an outcome as definitively beneficial or harmful, the scale of the decision stops mattering.
The crash is the same.
The cognitive crash is identical. And the author observes that when people are trapped in this state of continuous non-judgment, they begin to act like, quote, duckweed on a lake.
Duckweed. I want to focus on that specific visual for a second because it's so evocative. Duckweed is this tiny aquatic plant, but its defining characteristic is that it has almost no root system.
Right, no anchor.
Exactly, it doesn't anchor to the earth at all. It just floats freely on the surface tension of the water.
And because it has no roots, it is entirely at the mercy of its environment.
Just drifting.
Shufeng writes that people in the swamp are swept up and down by the waves of the times. They chase the wind with confused thinking. And because they cannot make a binary judgment about their current situation, they lose all sense of origin and destination. They are simply bobbing on the surface of their own lives.
And this manifests in a really specific symptom of swamp sickness that Xufeng identifies, and I have to say, it is a brutal indictment of modern behavior.
It hits very close to home.
It does. The text points to social media, specifically observing WeChat groups and, friends moments. He argues that you can literally identify who is trapped in the fuzzy swamp by watching how they scroll.
Yeah, the author notes that people in this state are just messing around, desperately trying to kill spare time. They engage with passing clouds of information.
Passing clouds of information, that's such a good way to put it.
And the critical insight here is that the very articles they repost and the random digital noise they engage with directly reveal their inner confusion and their total lack of direction.
Let's contextualize what that actually feels like for you listening. Imagine you are sitting alone in your parked car outside your apartment building after work.
Oh, we've all been there.
You cannot decide if you should go to the gym, or if you should go upstairs, order takeout, and watch television. The gym feels physically beneficial, but mentally exhausting. The couch feels mentally relaxing, but physically stagnant.
So your Taiji thinking has completely failed.
Exactly. Neither choice is clearly beneficial or harmful. You are officially in the swamp. So what happens? You pull out your phone and you start doom scrolling.
The indecision itself transitions into a paralyzing activity.
Yes, the scrolling is just a cognitive buffering scream. You use the digital noise to numb the extreme discomfort of the fuzzy zone. You are acting exactly like duckweed in the front seat of your car, letting the algorithmic waves push you around because you cannot execute a judgment.
Which really brings us to the central thesis of the text. Because if mindless scrolling and feeling battered by the waves are the symptoms of cognitive failure in the swamp, what is the protocol for getting out?
Right. How do you escape the parked car?
The author provides an antidote that is intensely counterintuitive. He says, when you are in the swamp, you must remain entirely calm and you must deliberately choose to not decide anything.
Wait, what?
You have to willingly give up your judgment.
I mean, I have a massive problem with that advice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If I'm sitting in the car trapped between the gym and the couch, and I simply, give up my judgment, aren't I just validating my own procrastination?
I can see how it sounds like that.
Giving up judgment sounds suspiciously like a philosophical excuse for apathy. If I don't decide, I'm just going to sit in that parked car forever.
Well, that would be the outcome if abandoning judgment were the only step. But the author pairs this with a crucial active directive.
Okay, what is it?
You must abandon your short-term judgment regarding the immediate situation, yes, but you must simultaneously maintain a fierce, unbreakable focus on your ultimate direction.
Ultimate direction.
Yeah. In the fog, you cannot see the very next step, so judging the immediate terrain is a complete waste of energy. But the fog does not break your compass.
Ah, so it's direction versus destination. You might not know what the destination looks like or exactly when you will arrive, but you know which way north is.
Exactly. The text warns that the ambiguity of the swamp makes it incredibly easy to become decadent or to just slack off. But the greatest danger is expending your energy on goals that run completely opposite to your direction, simply because doing something feels better than doing nothing.
Like frantic activity to avoid the anxiety?
Yes, and the author notes this is how people fail even when they are on the verge of success. They panic in the fog, abandon their compass, and sprint in the wrong direction just to feel a false sense of momentum.
And to prove that this bizarre method of holding the direction while enduring the ambiguity actually functions in the real world, the text provides a grueling case study from Xuefeng's own life.
Grueling is the right word.
In 1979, the author decided he was going to learn English completely by himself. His ultimate unbending direction was that he wanted to go abroad.
And we have to appreciate the sheer scale of the fuzzy swamp in this context. The author details his routine to illustrate the necessary persistence. He studied English every single day,
Every day.
every month, every year. The only moments of respite he allowed himself were New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
That is intense. And the swamp here wasn't just the academic difficulty of learning a new language. The swamp was the crushing psychological weight of total uncertainty.
Yes.
I mean, imagine waking up on day 2000 of this routine. He faced constant cynicism from the people around him. He endured continual blows to his confidence. But worst of all, he had absolutely no idea where an opportunity to actually go abroad would even come from.
He was essentially rolling those suspended dice every single morning, refusing to judge his immediate lack of progress.
And there was a distinct moment where the psychological pressure almost caused a fatal error, right?
There was. The text highlights a critical pivot point in his journey. The author enrolled at the Lanzhou Institute of Education to study Chinese.
Which is the perfect example of a false path. To anyone looking from the outside, studying at a formal institute sounds like a really productive, beneficial move.
It looks like progress.
You are getting an education. You're moving forward. But after one semester, Wei Feng realized that studying Chinese was completely irrelevant to his ultimate direction of going abroad.
Right, he had grabbed onto a solid-looking object in the swamp just to feel anchored. It provided the illusion of progress, but it was moving him entirely away from his true north.
Which is terrifying.
The text states explicitly that had he stayed at the Lanzhou Institute, his 1979 goal would have been permanently ruined. The 14-year endeavor would have failed entirely.
But he caught the error, dropped the Chinese studies, and course-corrected by switching to the English department at Jiquan Institute of Education. He basically abandoned the short-term comfort of a false path to return to the ambiguity of his true direction.
And that persistence eventually broke the suspension. Through continuous effort, the author finally crossed the fuzzy swamp in 1993, successfully realizing his wish to go abroad.
1993.
Yeah, he maintained his direction through more than 14 years of existing in a state of total ambiguity.
14 years of holding the compass while blindfolded. I mean, it really emphasizes that navigating the swamp requires a level of endurance that borders on the superhuman.
It really does.
Now, up to this point in the text, Xuefeng has grounded these concepts in highly relatable secular scenarios. You know, learning a language, navigating a career, picking a dinner option. But the essay eventually reveals the specific target audience it was written for, which introduces a massive shift in stakes and context.
Yeah, the framework of the essay suddenly elevates from the practical to the profoundly spiritual. The text is actually addressing a specific group of practitioners referred to as Lifechanyuan celestials.
And just to clarify for everyone listening, according to the source material, the ultimate goal of a Lifechanyuan celestial is literal spiritual ascension. They are striving to become celestial beings and reach higher realms of existence, which the text refers to as the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. We are moving from the ambition of traveling abroad to the pursuit of eternal salvation.
And what makes the text so compelling here is that the author applies the exact same mechanical logic of the fuzzy swamp to this metaphysical journey.
It's the same mechanics.
Exactly. He explains that these spiritual practitioners might engage in self-improving and self-refining for decades, yet they hit a wall. They wake up feeling that yesterday is exactly the same as the day before and the day before that. They experience absolutely no obvious spiritual sublimation.
So they are experiencing the exact same cognitive crash as the person sitting in the parked car, but the stakes are the eternal state of their soul.
Precisely.
They are wandering in a spiritual fog, wondering if their daily discipline is actually moving them closer to the Elysium Celestial Islands or if they are just, wasting their lives.
And the guidance given to the Chanyuan Celestials is identical to the method for learning English. The author urges them to keep the sacred lamp in their hearts lit.
The sacred lamp.
Yeah, they are instructed to completely abandon their frustration over their lack of immediate spiritual progress and simply never stray from the directional path toward heaven. They must hold the compass, even when the fog feels totally impenetrable.
Which creates a deeply universal takeaway for you, the listener. The scale of the goal does not change the human operating system.
Not at all.
Whether you are a spiritual seeker trying to reach a 1,000-year world, a medical student facing a decade of residency, or a writer staring at a blank page, terrified that your work is meaningless, the mechanics of the swamp are exactly the same.
It's the same fog.
The creeping doubt, the temptation to abandon your direction for a comfortable distraction, the urge to pull out your phone and numb the uncertainty, it's a shared landscape we all have to walk through.
It is. And the author anchors this entire philosophy with two closing thoughts that beautifully summarize the required mindset. First, he references the proverb, "Man proposes, but the greatest creator disposes."
Okay, what does that mean in this context?
The implication is a surrender of control. You are responsible for defining your ultimate direction and putting in the daily effort, but you must surrender your desperate need to control the exact timing and the precise mechanism of your arrival.
Because you cannot micromanage the fog. You cannot force the dice to hit the table faster just by staring at them.
Exactly. And the final imagery the text leaves us with perfectly captures the essence of surviving the fuzzy zone. The author writes that as long as you stick to your direction, quote, rubbing ropes against wooden boards will eventually cut into them.
Wow, I find that visual incredibly grounding.
Me too.
Because it strips away the myth of the sudden, dramatic breakthrough. Surviving the swamp is not about a massive explosion of energy that suddenly clears the fog. It is entirely about the slow, agonizing power of friction.
Just daily friction.
You take a soft piece of rope and you rub it against a hard wooden board. On day 1, there is absolutely no visible progress. On day 400, there might be a microscopic indentation. It requires a tremendous amount of faith to believe that the persistence of a soft rope will eventually carve through solid wood.
It is the ultimate vindication for those who refuse to let go of their compass, even when the environment offers absolutely no evidence that they are succeeding.
So the next time you find yourself entirely paralyzed by a dilemma, whether you are agonizing over a massive pivot in your career, feeling a crisis of faith in your life's purpose, or you were just sitting in your car at 7 o'clock at night, completely unable to decide what to do with your evening, take a breath and diagnose your environment.
Tell yourself what's really happening.
Tell yourself, I have entered the fuzzy swamp. Recognize that your brain's logic centers are crashing because you are trying to force a binary choice onto a chaotic reality. Drop the agonizing need to judge your immediate situation.
Stop trying to label your current stasis as permanently good or permanently bad.
Exactly. Bite the bullet, grip the compass of your long-term direction, and just keep pulling that soft rope across the wood.
As we conclude, I'd like to offer a provocation based on Zhu Feng's theories for everyone to mull over.
Let's hear it.
If the fuzzy swamp is an environment where our binary Taiji thinking utterly fails, where our desperate need to define opposites is the very thing that paralyzes us, what does that say about our modern culture?
Oh, that's a big question.
We are currently obsessed with categorizing every single event, every piece of media, and every human interaction as strictly toxic or healthy, beneficial or harmful. What if that relentless, desperate need to constantly judge our reality isn't protecting us?
What if it's the trap itself?
Exactly. What if our obsession with binary labels is the exact mechanism building the swamp around us? Is the fog a trap we accidentally stumble into? Or is it simply the natural, complex reality of the world that we arrogantly refuse to accept?
That reframes the entire struggle. Because if the fog is the natural state of the world, fighting it is a complete waste of time. Trust the compass, ignore the static, and just keep walking. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fuzzy swamp. Keep exploring, stay focused on your direction, and we will see you next time.